With the success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Walt and the company wanted to go more ambitious. They wanted to go bigger than just Snow White. And boy, did it tank, along with the other movie that came out the same year. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Pinocchio. No, not that Pinocchio. No, not that one. I heard a lot of good things about that one, but no, definitely not that one. This Pinocchio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Walt Wednesdays. And like stated, we're talking about Pinocchio, made back in 1940, which also came out the same year as Fantasia, which we'll try to dive into next time. But both actually kind of share the same fate in some ways. Snow White and Seven Dwarfs was a huge hit for the Disney company, and they whacked in quite a bit of money. And with that money, Walt was pretty ambitious. The sad part about it is, though critically acclaimed Pinocchio was, it didn't do well in the box office. So why is that? Well, it's kind of complicated, but to basically sum it up, between the Great Depression, World War II, and the war's effect on the European dollar, and the fact that you have another movie that comes out the same year, even more ambitious than Pinocchio, it just didn't do well in the box office. And it's very unfortunate because Pinocchio technically does a lot of really impressive things. First off, we see the first ever use of the multi-plane camera. So for those of you who don't know, the multi-plane camera was something that was invented that allows animators to actually have a more like a Spielbergian sort of zoom-in effect. You actually see it in the very opening, or at least the very beginning of Pinocchio, as it pushes into the home streets where Geppetto and the rest of the town live, which is very impressive and has never really been done before in animation, and really brings a level of depth that you've never seen before. The multi-plane camera is basically, I forget how many layers are set up, but they're basically planes of glass that have wheels on the sides of them and allows the planes to shift left or right. And at the very top, it's almost like a tower. At the very top, there is a camera that looks down on all the planes of glass. And when shot in motion, it's supposed to simulate the moving left and right of the camera, almost as if you're actually filming something in real life. Another thing, the water effects towards the end, before they get swallowed by Monstro, really look like water. And that's actually because they kind of used actual water. I forget how they used the technique, but I want to say the animation cells and everything were filmed underneath water, so they could have that rippling effect whenever the fish swim around. So, other than the debt of the company and the very impressive animation techniques they used, I honestly don't have much to talk about in terms of the history of the movie. However, that being said, let's go ahead and cut to the chase about the movie. Like a lot of the earlier films in the golden era of Disney animation, this one once again is an amazing feat and a great movie for the company. I don't know if there's really anything really technically wrong with the movie like in Snow White. The characters are very memorable. The villains are very memorable. I think one thing that, or something that about this movie that really stands out, is how dark and twisted this movie is, more particularly when they get to Pleasant Island. Kids literally get drunk, they literally smoke and cause a wreck, and really that's not so much about the movie as it is the original book, which actually is a lot more twisted than the Disney animated movie. And the whole idea of the book is basically to scare the ever-loving crap out of kids to make them straighten up their act. And in some ways, this movie does that, especially with the scene in which Lampwick turns into a donkey. It's frightening and is still done very well. This movie touches on a lot of themes, more particularly in growing up and following your dreams and the journey to that dream, and also finding your place. Pinocchio is this character that not only learns how to become a real boy, he gets the dream of becoming the boy he wants to be, and Geppetto gets the dream he wishes for and getting that son. Even before he turns into a real boy, he gets that. And in terms of finding your place, not only does Pinocchio find that in his journey to become a real boy, but even Jiminy Cricket. Jiminy Cricket is actually kind of a jerk towards the beginning of the movie. He's a hobo, essentially, and then turns into this more conscious, mature character that helps Pinocchio lead him to what he will eventually become. Both Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket find their place in the world, which is a great message. Also, another thing I want to touch on that I didn't really get to talk about in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is the music. Yeah, the Broadway type musicality that the Renaissance era would have isn't here, but it still has this very classic 1930s, 1940s old school type of musical that I still personally love. And the style of music in which they use is very uncommon nowadays, that I find a lot of charm and heart in, that it just, you don't really, the harmonies and everything, you don't really hear much of that in terms of style anymore, and I kind of miss that. And I think also really lead to how timeless this movie still is. Even though it's of the time, it's still timeless. Other than that, guys, I know this is kind of a short video. I don't know what to really say about Pinocchio other than it's a great movie, and I, of course, as you can see, have the Laserdisc copy. I even have it on VHS and Blu-ray, but I love the artwork of the Laserdisc. What can I say? But Pinocchio is a great, great movie that's still timeless. I think the only thing I really, I guess, have... Actually, I don't know if I have an issue with anything in this movie. It's very concise, very short. I guess you could say Pinocchio is grating, but he kind of is supposed to be. I will say, I guess if I was to say anything, which I don't want to touch on too much about this because it's a topic I want to save for another video, there's a lot more layers to this movie that the live action really kind of takes out and shows why it's still reverent today, and why another reason why the live action one kind of pales in comparison. It's a solid movie just like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's a timeless movie. It's a great technical marvel of its time, and once again, the animation is top notch, and once again proves why Disney is still great, even if they do end up going into bankruptcy. Sorry if this video was short. I just sadly don't have very many notes for this movie. What do you guys think of Pinocchio? Is it one of your favorites? Is it one that scared you as a child? I know it kind of did me, but I kind of really like it a lot more because of how edgy and dark the story is. But I hope you guys enjoyed this very short episode of Walt Wednesdays. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Join me next week as we dive into Fantasia. That's going to be a very interesting movie to talk about. And also, if you have any recommendations of what you'd like to see a video of, whether it be a Walt Wednesday episode or just a episode in general, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you all so much, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.